Hey guys, what is up? My name is Carson, aka C3KO, and today we're here for Overwatch Week 6, Manchester University versus UMU. How are we doing today?
We're doing good. We're doing good. I'm looking forward to seeing this. We wanted to have Manchester and Valpo on stream last week, but due to some technical difficulties, unfortunately, we couldn't. And I'm personally very excited to see if any of these teams have been putting the work in with these new heroes. We are now on the second week where the five new heroes, Mizuki, Jetpack Cat, Domina, Emre, and Anran, are unbanned in the GLEC, and so obviously, I'd kind of like to see if these teams pull these heroes out, see what they're able to do with them. But given how new they still are, I think for some players it's kind of a toss-up on whether they decide to bring them out, especially as, people still got to develop their skills with them and still kind of see what these hero strengths really are. But we've got our rosters here for you guys. Manchester, again, meant to be covered on stream last week, and then the University of Mount Union. Manchester is down 1-4 in record so far this season, while Mount Union is up 3-1. And so the ball is in Manchester's court to put the work in for this series.
Yep, and we have a brilliant cast of characters today with the tank, Mr. Oni, and the two DPS, UB Sweatin and Zero, and then finally our two supports, Droopy and John Braun. These two are very dedicated players to some of the older players. UB Sweatin and John Braun are the older players, and they're going to be trying to lead these newer/younger players into victory against UMU today.
And we got to see a little bit of this Mount Union squad on the GLEC stream earlier this semester. Believe they made a couple substitutions versus the roster they fielded in that initial match, but regardless, they had a pretty tough bout against Baldwin Wallace, who swept them 3-0, but given their season record, that seems to be the only match they really had trouble with, and so it'll be interesting to see how they fare against the Manchester squad here. But moving on to our map picks, unsurprisingly to many, we will be starting with Lijiang Tower. As far as hero bans go, we have gotten a Cassidy ban from Manchester and a Zarya ban from Mount Union.
Very interesting bans, which will pretty much determine what we'll be playing team comp-wise. I'm sure you know Vendetta Zarya is a very popular team comp nowadays. With Cassidy Band, that opens up the field for Onron, Tracers, Vendettas, any flankers really, to put in the work on enemy backlines.
Indeed, and as we load into map 1 here, very excited to see what these teams opt to pull out given these bans. Obviously, as we wait for the initial picks to come out, not much data on the table yet. Now, given those bans, what comps do you think we are going to see on this map, and do you think things are going to change up between sections? Starting
yes,
on the
absolutely. Absolutely. I think for Manchester, they're just going to want to use their bread and butter the whole way through. I think they're not going to want to confuse themselves or change anything up unless it's needed. So I expect Oni to be on their mantra very, very consistently. As for Mount Union, I don't know these guys. I don't know what their plans are. But I can only assume that they're planning on changing their comp based off of what Manchester has. So a Reinhardt into a Ram may not be preferable. We might see Ram into Ram. We might see Sigma maybe, or honestly, I don't even know. Ramantra is just a pretty good overall pick right now.
All right, first engagement coming through. Early kill onto Droopy on the Lucio. It looks like we're already seeing some pretty good momentum from the Manchester side of things, and that is, well, was going to say continuing to take place, but fortunately we do in fact see a team wipe from the side of Mount Union. The Bastion from Matt already doing some good work. We're already up to 50% ult charge, which is a pretty good omen for the Manchester side of things. Going to have to see how, University of Mount Union side of things, going to have to see how Manchester decide to turn the tides.
Yeah, if Manchester wants to recover after a play like that, they're going to have to do one of many things. They're going to have to make sure that during these fights that Bastion form is offline, because Bastion form will just shred anyone who stands in front of it, which even though we got first opening picks there, we just weren't able to capitalize on it due to certain cooldowns being very usable in team fights like this, especially out of Bastion or Ramantra here.
Of course, this team fight seems to go a lot better for the Manchester side. That is going to be a team kill and a cap on the point. This should be able to net them a good bit of percentage, hopefully catch up to Mount Union's gains of 34. Go into this next team fight. Going to be focusing on this choke here on the bridge. Not too much aggression from either team, probably worried about any Lucio boots, but Bastion all coming out, no joy. Starting to see some aggression from the red team here on Mount Union.
This is a good flank by the Reaper player here. Unfortunately, he's not able to kill Kiriko, but does force out the Suzu.
Resources spent, and so far, fight is going the way of Manchester once again. This is definitely something you got to be happy about, especially given these teams' records. Maybe as a Manchester player, you don't know what to expect. Unfortunate suicide there. May have just been trying to deprive ult charge. I'm not sure. He was pretty close to his spawn door.
Yeah, I'm sure he was just trying to get back. Lucio players love to test their skills with the map, and unfortunately, it just didn't work out in his favor that time. Or we can just say that's what he planned to do the entire time. How could we know?
I mean, hey, if you're not super familiar with the way of the game, there are times when you'll see people jump off the map and you think they're dumb, but in reality what they're doing, they're trying to deprive opponents of extra ult charge, things like that. Obviously, given the nuance of being very close to the spawn door, that might be a little different. Regardless, we're going to see a lot of fights breaking out. 3 versus 3 right now. Quite a few players low. This pick on the Reaper, though, should give them the leverage they need to finish out this team fight, and once again is going to be a Mount Union victory.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, actually, it looks like Manchester won that one.
Oh, my bad.
And the colors are messed up, and when we're spectating, it's really weird.
Oh, very true, very true. But I guess you could say I cast a curse, though, because it's definitely a Manchester victory now.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That was a really good play by Mount Union. You know, that was a great shatter. Unfortunately, though, when it comes to these tank wars, tanks just have high health pools. Even though Ryan's going to manage to kill a lot of people there, the only problem is actually getting rid of their Ramattra, who has so much survivability. It's just going to be really hard for UMU, which unfortunately they weren't able to do, so Manchester takes map 1.
We did see the Domina switch from Rook on the tank here. So, interested to see if he sticks with this. Be, again, interesting to see the new tank. We do have Oni switching over to the Domina as well, so might get to see Amir here. Nope, looks like he's sticking on the Ramattra. Not too surprising given the success he found in the first map there, but does look like Rook is sticking on the Domina. So, as we roll out here, be interesting to see how that shield gives them the advantage.
Personally, after playing against that shield many times, there are multiple ways to deal with it. It just involves using a little bit of resources. Our UB Sweatin should be looking to throw his Sojourn E on the shield almost constantly. Unfortunately, it's not in rotation right now, so he's not going to be able to do it. But what Sojourn E and Ash Dynamite, like all these abilities do is break that shield almost immediately. Shield does not have that much health if it just sits there and gets hits on for a long period of time. And so shooting that shield with any cooldowns or any AoE attacks will pretty much get rid of it for its entire duration.
Right. Do like the Mei wall here, sectioning off the Domina. That's going to be a huge kill as they try and break into the point here. First fight won by UMU. Unfortunately, UB Sweatin caught on the flank there, but as time has passed and we see this pick onto the Lucio and a pick onto the Kiriko as well, nice timing with the melee attack. Things are looking a lot better for the Manchester side. That's going to be a very swift capture, and now the ball is once again in Mount Union's court to take things back.
Yep, Mount Union, Matt has Bob. Bob could be a very decisive zoning ult here. Maybe throw it on the point to force Manchester off of it, or it can be used to get some free kills early in the fight, or spacing. It depends on how Manchester handles it. I bet Manchester might pop Ramattra ult. Some strategies, people just pop big form on Ramattra, and they sit there and they block it until it's gone. I don't think that's what will happen here, though.
Look to see a little bit of a push coming out here. Manchester doing a great job of biting into those health bars. We're going to see a pick with a headshot from Zero on the Mei. That's going to be really good. That is 2 deaths from End at the beginning of these team fights, and it just... Mount Union have not been able to gain any ground.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate because at this level of play, you just can't walk in as 4 against 5. It just is not a good thing to do. Having a numbers game, Overwatch is almost a numbers game at the higher level.
Definitely. And as we see the teleport and the Bob come out from Mount Union here, trying to take this, Ramattra ult going to get shut down, and a boop from Droopy off screen. Going to mean what looks like a one-team fight from the side of... I'm sorry, I'm getting messed up by the kill feed colors. This is still very much happening.
With the tank up, though, they will hold control over this point. At least until Oni gets back.
Indeed. Are going to see continued control of the point from Mount Union. What a great on the Domina there. Great detonate timing. We're going to see a 4K from the Domina. Definitely showing what this hero is capable of. Obviously, with the whole team on their back, going to make a huge difference there. But regardless, nice to see from one of the new faces here in Overwatch.
Yeah, one of the greatest characters to be added, in my opinion. She has so many uses in her kit. And watching her move forward each play, not even move forward, she sits behind her shield, or she can get really aggressive. And even in dive comp, she has her push ability, so it stops Lucio's, it stops Reinhardt's. People just can't get in her face, and with her ults, it's a fight turner.
Speaking of ults, we're going to start to see a few dropped. Rook not going to get to spend that Panopticon. He's already shut down, and it looks like a pretty strong teamfight win from Manchester. But with 98%, Mount Union does not have to do a lot to win this second map.
Yes, it's becoming last fight territory for both teams here. Manchester not having the better ults than UMU right now. Domino ult could very well just get everyone here if done right.
Rook needs to watch his health bar, going to be taken down. Yep. Going to be another team fight win from Manchester by the looks of it. Already 2 kills from UB Sweatin' 3.
A great railgun by Manchester.
Indeed. Great usage of the overclock. I feel like it's easy as a fledgling Sojourn player to just kind of spend it and then start whipping all your shots, but clearly UB Sweatin', aka Kua for the Valorant enjoyers, keeping a very cool head here. Gonna see the Wrecking Ball come out from the side of Mount Union, trying to take some space here, but already 2 down. And this is pretty much done and over with. Map 1 as a whole taken by the side of Manchester. And if you're looking at the records at the top of the screen, this is not what you'd expect.
No, it is not. But it is really unfortunate for UMU because, I mean, obviously you saw the ball come out there at the end. Rook did not get to use Domino ult.
Yes, that Panopticon can be very powerful when used properly, but it just doesn't seem to get thrown out. A lot of pressure coming in from the Manchester side to just kind of keep it out of play, and it absolutely works out for them. That awareness of the threat of that ult and being able to shut it down before it even comes out is absolutely massive. As we wait for this second map pick, I'm interested to see what Mount Union pull out here and try and regain some of the leverage in this matchup.
Yes, if I had to guess, UMU is definitely going to choose something maybe a little more dive heavy. Based off the picks I've seen a Domina pick and I've seen a ball pick. And I've also seen a Ryan pick. So there's a lot of maps here that fit with those 3 characters. And a lot of maps you want to make sure you play around your tank strengths, right? You're not going to play Ramantra with a oh, I'm sorry, I messed up there. You're not going to play a Reinhardt with a Genji and a Vendetta and just go backline, you know? You're going to want to play with like a Winston or a Diva or any really dive count character and go together as a team.
For sure, for sure. And I'm also wondering if maybe didn't seem like the Domino was putting that much work in, obviously being shut down, so I wonder wondering if we're going to see any sort of target bans or anything like that. Already we have the ban from the side of UMU. It's going to be a Sojourn ban, not too surprising, given the kind of action we got to see from UB Sweatin' on the Soj.
Absolutely.
And then we have gotten our map pick as well. It is going to be New Queen Street.
New Queen Street. I have a love-hate relationship with this map.
Yeah, it's definitely something. I know, at least speaking from me and some of the casual matches I play with my friends, they aren't huge fans of the push game mode. I'm alright about it, but Can be tough.
Yeah, in my opinion, of course, my favorite push map is Esperanza, then New Queen Street, and then honestly Runasapi.
I think that's a very agreeable ranking. We do see a Lucio ban coming out from the side of Manchester, perhaps trying
Okay.
to take Rickety off of the Lucio. Not sure if they're particularly threatened by the player or more so the hero going into this map. There are some edges where that right click can put a lot of work in, but other than that, maybe it's just kind of a comfort ban in a way. But regardless, should be getting into this map map 2 very soon here as teams are readying up.
Yeah, absolutely. Knowing that pick, though, it does make me very curious why Manchester would ban Lucio. It has me thinking that maybe it wants to force UMU onto a different champion, so that way maybe a flanking character can get an easier time on the back line. Because Tracer Genji trying to go after Lucio with right click and just speed boost in general can be very frustrating, even for higher rank players.
That's a good point. And speaking of flank, we did see that flank attempt from UB Sweatin earlier in that second section of Lijiang, which was in fact not shut down by the Lucio, but shut down by the Ashe coach gun. But even then, the presence of a Lucio and his ability to deal with flanks and backliners is definitely something to remain wary of. And as we go into this push, where much like King of the Hill, we've got two teams on even ground, it will be interesting to see how these frontline backline dynamics play out. You've got a lot of potential ways things could go when you're not talking about attack-defense roles, which historically have been a big thing in Overwatch. You know, back in the days of Overwatch 1, you had the 2 control point maps being part of the rotation, whereas with Overwatch 2 rule sets, you see a lot more different game modes in play with the fact that teams have the opportunity to pick them out in some way versus being just a fixed rotation. So already looking at the hero picks here, got some interesting variety on the board. Obviously nothing set in stone yet as nobody's left the spawn room, but Junker Queen and a Zarya. Keep in mind Zarya was banned for that first map, and we do see UB Sweatin hovering the Emre. Personally would love to see it. My favorite hero of the new 5. I've had a lot of fun playing with him with my friends, and the kind of damage output he can get access to in the right hands is very fearsome.
Especially after the Emre patch that makes his fall-off range a little longer, and he does a little bit more damage now.
Right, so far, standard roll-ins from both teams. Gonna meet on the robot here. Still not unlocked yet, so not gonna be moving at all, but nothing crazy in terms of interactions just yet. I do love the comp variety here, but I'm gonna eat my words real quick because the Emre already getting an initial pick. Aiming true so far, and a little bit of back and forth, but 2 down for the side of Mount Union means this is ideally a fight win for Manchester.
Right? Everyone's just poking right now. That's how the start of these robot maps always go. Everyone's poking at each other, trying to force out cooldowns, and certain cooldowns come out, which is a green light for Manchester or UMU in some cases, to go in there and just use all of their stuff on them. Unfortunately, though, UMU is going to lose this first fight, and Manchester's going to take initial control of the robots.
Yep, already 20 meters gained, so we're gonna have to see how the response is from Mount Union. Don't seem like we've seen any crazy swaps yet, but I'm just excited to see such hero variety. A lot of times at high-level Overwatch, you see a lot of mirrors, a lot of similar compositions, but I think we have 10 unique heroes in this lobby right now.
That's awesome. Honestly, I love to see 10 heroes going at each other against, 5 different heroes going at each other against 5 other unique heroes. It really keeps the battlefield interesting, especially with the new characters.
Yep, we do see the Emre in play, and Vendetta, if you want to call her new. Gonna get picked off by Matt, though, as she goes for the dive in. The Dynamite DOT doing work there. A flank from Matt here seems to have been noticed by the supports of Manchester. Dynamite going to be doing some burn damage, but not a lot she can do when she's singled out there, and the Emre going to come out and put her to bed real quick.
Emre's pistol, not really used for damage, but for mobility, and to see it be used for a lot of damage there quickly, it's a nice change of pace.
The momentum doesn't seem to be letting up. look at the top of your screen. We've got 3 ults ready for the side of Manchester. Obviously coming up on some very soon for the Mount Union squad, but just looking at these icons on the screen, I'm expecting another fight win, but early pick from Matt on the Emre, that's massive.
Here comes out the Kiri ult. Here comes out Torbjorn ult. It's gonna get Vendetta here as it moves up into. Ooh, this could be rough for Manchester.
Zarya keeping up for now, but one sliver of health on the Kiriko, gonna drop to 0. We'll see if the Zarya can hold on to her life with that charge.
Might get staggered here.
Some of the team already coming up for Manchester. Going to see the Graviton Surge come out. Bob getting sucked into it as well.
Wow.
Emre ult coming in for the combo. Going to get a lot of damage in. Already 2 picks. Going for a 3rd.
Oh, the Junker Queen ult comes out. The Junker Queen dies for it.
Doesn't seem like a very wise spend. Honestly, I think that just without Mount Union being able to take out that Zarya, the Graviton Surge coming out, followed by the Override Protocol from Emre, just a lot of the damage was already done before that Junker Queen ult was even spent. Granted, I'm not that much of a ball knower when it comes to Overwatch, but to me it just seems like it may not have been the best idea.
You're thinking the right stuff, honestly. There's a lot of things that you get taught when you play Overwatch, and one of those is if your team's dead, you're not 1v5. And although it wasn't actually a 1v5, right, there's just no situation where Junker Queen ults there and it gets everybody and pushes cards so low. You want to do this as a team, and unfortunately, now with no ults from you and you besides Moira, and Moira gets picked here, I just don't see a lot of positivity coming from you and you right now.
Yeah, and that's both supports down. This is going to be a pretty swift wipe, methinks. Even Shanbran flying towards the spawn door to make sure that Ashe gets picked off. And now, resource-wise, Manchester still a little bit ahead. And getting towards this spawn, it looks like it could be rough.
Swaps to the Reinhardt though. We know Vendetta died, so she's not here yet for the fight. I like that Sim TP. That's a very nice and unique Sim TP.
A lot of damage starting to come in, honestly from both sides, but Vendetta ult coming out. Nothing huge just yet, but going to be able to finish off the Moira. Going after the Wuyong. Wuyong going to get taken out by Zarya, but not without a cost.
Reinhardt shield goes bye-bye, and the Torbjorn comes out to stall for any amount of time. It looks like Torbjorn's going to get lasered down by Zarya and finished by Droopy, and this might be game 2.
I think so. I mean, yeah, it's as good as done now. Unfortunately, these spawns just aren't going to be fast enough to give them the time to catch up. So much damage coming out from Manchester. And yes, the grab is perfect, although unfortunately another player from the side of Mount Union still able to take hold on the point. This is still really rough, although Mount Union continuing to throw bodies onto the point, I just don't think it's going to make a difference, and sure enough, it does not. Mount Union take map 2.
Can't blame for being persistent, though. Can't blame for being persistent. Huge play of the game by the ground, apparently.
I've been saying this. Oh, it's from Emre. Not too surprised.
I love it. Whenever we're in the spectator cam, it has to bug out in some way, shape, and form.
Yeah, not surprised to see the game decide that this is the play that we get to see. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't even a bad Junker Queen ult. It's just, you probably don't Junker Queen ult there.
Yeah, I was going to say, it did, I believe it tagged 3 with the anti-heal, which would have been really good, but having already had 2 teammates taken out by the Override Protocol, it just did not seem like there was going to be much success there. And as we get ready for this 3rd map, and potentially already the final map in the series, I'm interested to see how the Mount Union squad decides to bounce back.
Yeah, that map was UMU pick, right?
Yes, it was, because they lost map 1.
Okay, so they'll get the pick again, and honestly, I think they're going to try to push, and I think their best chance is to push an objective. I expect to see King's Row, maybe Eichenwald, or you can just go straight Escort, Route 66. Circuit is a really good map for professional play. So is another really good map. Dorado, Rialto. I'm not going to bother bringing up Paricio because that map is Paricio. So I expect to see any map but Paricio here. Anything that's pushing an objective forward and playing on cart as a team, I think that's what UMU will do really good at. Because that's what we noticed on Lijiang. Whenever they had control of the point, they had control over the point, and it was hard for Manchester to take it back at some points.
Well, we're going to have to see what that decision ends up being from the Mount Union side, but until then, we'll see you after a quick break.
Yep.
Welcome back, everyone. My name is Gabe, and I'm joined here by C3KO. We are hopping back into this Overwatch series in Week 6 of the GLEC. Manchester University up 2-0 over University of Mount Union. We're getting ready for this third map here. It's going to be Route 66 per Mount Union's pick. How are you feeling about this one?
I'm very excited to see Route 66. Route 66 is a very strong Manchester pick, and seeing another team pick it makes me really excited for a possible really good competition on this map.
It is interesting to hear, especially if you're a Mount Union fan. Probably not feeling too good about that, but definitely never say never.
Yeah.
Looking forward to see what these teams pull out. Obviously, a lot of variables still on the table. Nobody's going to be perfect. We could see a surprise hero pick. But at least in terms of bans, that much we already know. It's going to be an Ashe ban from the side of Manchester, which isn't too surprising to hear, given that Matt was doing a good bit of damage with the Ashe. But on the Mount Union side, we see a Kiriko ban, which we were talking about it off stream, but you're thinking we might see a Junker Queen because of it.
It looks like we might be wrong here.
Yeah, that's going to be a Zarya pick. Interesting to see what these players are hovering, including John Braun hovering the Jetpack Cat. Once again, I think we have entirely unique comps here, which, again, pleasure to see.
Yeah. It makes me nervous because I see a Cat and a Cassidy, and I know what could happen.
Yep. I haven't played a ton since the 5-hero update, but I don't think you have to play a lot to see what people like to do with those two heroes in conjunction with each other.
Launch day was ridiculous.
Oh, this is going to be interesting, though. You see the Ana being lifted up by the Cat, going to get an early anti-heal. Not really going to do that much, but I'd love to see some silly stuff coming out from the teams here as we get started on this Route 66.
Yep. Here we go. They're going to push the cart here up into the first choke under this little wooden archway. Mantra being a soft counter to Zarya, it would seem to be in Manchester's favor, but anything is possible with cooldown usage.
Like the Maywall here, putting a little bit of a barrier between the two halves of Manchester, but going to see Mount Union, continue to take some space up top. Really picked from Matt on the Sojourn. It's going to be some bad news for Manchester here, though. Cass taking a bit of damage up here, and hack from Sombra surely means death. Good Zarya bubble to make sure the Sombra stays alive, and Cass can be waiting on that respawn timer while the rest of Manchester are forced to fare with what they've got. Got a pick from Matt, and the Cat is also out of the playfield.
A very good first play by UMU, and I like to see them pick up some ground to keep this going, because I really do have a feeling this is going to be a super competitive map, and it looks like the Sombra might get a lot of value throughout this map.
It is going to be a trade, though, and really just depends on the 4v4 here, as we already see some picks coming out from Manchester. Look at that. Moira very low, going to get taken out as well, and Zarya sure to follow. That's going to be a one-team fight, and that payload is not going to be getting that first point just yet.
Not yet. And now we're going to see some ults coming up soon. We got Railgun from UMU coming up. Not to mention Mayfreeze, Nano, and, I don't know what you call Cal. Slam Dunk, I guess.
Catnapper. I put the new alt names on a post-it and put it next to my monitor.
That is hilarious.
I want to be informed.
On this point, too, that could be pretty devastating. You just get ulted and then you're off the map.
Yeah, I imagine the Cat is particularly valuable on this first point because of it. Early pick from UB Sweatin'. Going to be putting some damage in on the Sojourn. John Braun as well. Going to pick with the Cat.
There goes Droopy.
Ana gonna drop though, so that is no nano boost just yet.
Great hardcore play by Manchester here, trying to kite that railgun as much as humanly possible.
Very well done indeed. That railgun not getting any value, and now UB Sweatin almost getting a pick on a Mad. Zarya Bubble going to come out, going to keep him alive for the moment, but Riggedy going to fall to the Sojourn E, and a couple kills coming in from Manchester. Going to look like another team fight's in order for Mount Union to take this first point.
What a great escape from UB Sweatin. Can we take a second to talk about that? He slides up onto the gas station at 35 HP and gets out of that fight after creating huge value, getting rid of a Zarya Bubble, and almost getting a Sojourn for his troubles. That was a very great play by the DPS player from Manchester.
Yeah, I think after kind of watching through this match, I think it seems that UB Sweatin is very comfortable playing kind of a flanker or like a roamer role and getting value for his team out of it.
Well, there goes Lucio.
Here's that cat. The voice line sounds so like mellow from the ally side compared to the very loud ass cat noise you hear when the jetpack cat is on the other team. I didn't even think that was all for a second, to be honest. Use the Sombra, try and put some damage in. Not going to get any, unfortunately, going to get taken down. And another couple of kills for the side of Manchester once again. Mount Union needs to gain some ground here. Also, the Sigma switch from Rook, kind of interesting to see, but...
Yeah, I'm very surprised.
Yeah. This is looking rough for the side of Mount Union. Not a lot of time left, and also 4 ults on the side of
you hate to see
Manchester.
that.
Oh, what are we planning? What are we planning? This is what we're planning.
Oh, from the top rope. And there comes the May freeze, and now this is the part where everyone hits Q because it's the end of the round.
Yep. Seems just about right. Nice cheeky little play utilizing both the jetpack tether and the nano boost into a Ramatra ult as well. Gonna mean a very, very clean first half from Manchester. You gotta be very happy with how you guys played that.
I am. I'm pretty happy to see Manchester get some major success there. Zero hitting some pretty good May walls and that one May ult at the very end, really helping to secure the win. But honestly, UB Sweatin, I feel like, is just causing so much value for his teammates. John Braun, Droopy, even Oni is able to get so much value just based off of the angles and the heads turned because of these angles that UB Sweatin's taken.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if your flanker gets picked off, that's still a bunch of attention drawn from your front line, but given the kind of value we've been seeing getting regardless of that, then I think it's pretty easy as a Manchester player to be like, yeah, man, you keep doing that.
Yeah.
I do see a hover
If it
on the
works,
Widow,
don't break
though.
it.
Maybe looking for an early pick, but Rook on the other side, bringing out the Domina for this first point.
This is very scary for UMU because one pick by that Widowmaker could mean the point gets taken already.
I do kind of wonder if they've got any more shenanigans planned with the jetpack cat. We got to see quite a bit during that first half. I almost wonder if they might try something with the Widow here. Although, granted, as a Widow's probably not too easy to aim, and it looks like we're going back over to the Mercy. Pretty safe pick, and looks like that blue beam is going to be on the Widow as she throws out the hook here, maybe? Nope, I can't predict anything. But Baptiste might fall. No, he does not.
That was close.
Oh,
close again.
Again. Looks like probably going back to the spawn room to switch things out. We also see Oni hop on the Domina as well, so we will see a tank mirror match here. It's interesting to see what kind of heroes that Mount Union like to field in these defensive situations. They seem very comfortable with the Torb and the Bastion. Domina shields coming out from both teams. Sojourn E should be chipping out Mount Union's Domina shield, but looks like both had some holes opened up. Zero, however, on the back line, gonna get a kill on the Baptiste, gonna get shut down by Matt on the Bastion. Now, UB Sweatin once again on the flank, gonna get knocked off the map, sadly. Good use of the left shift from Rook on the Domina. However, help are getting a little low. Support's going to have to come in clutch, and they do. Looking like a better hold for Mount Union than what you might have expected, given their performance in the earlier portions of the series.
Correct. And any trades from Manchester is good because Manchester, if you're on offense right now, you come back in 10 seconds. If you're on the Mount Union team, you come back in a very not short period of time, especially most characters who have to walk back.
We do see Oni pulling out the Sigma here, which I'm pretty interested in. We did see Rook swap over to that same hero during their last portion of the attacking phase, but interested to see how it fares against the Domina here. Rock gonna connect, that stun. Gonna keep Domina out of the fight for a little bit, but Already, Matt and Rook both getting some picks. Seems that the defense is going to continue to go the way of Mount Union for the moment.
A lot of maps like these, it's really hard to get past their first initial choke points. We can say that for a lot of maps like this.
Oh, absolutely. We do see Zero swapping over to that Sombra. I wonder if he's going to try and get some flank shenanigans. Does get revealed.
They know where he's at.
Coming out from the cat onto Rook. Sure is dead. And that's going to be massive for this fight. Bastion going to get a little bit of damage in, but not enough to turn the tides, and Rickety dropping as well. Things are going about as well as you could ask for the Manchester side, and while there is still quite a bit of distance to cover, the win is a lot closer.
Yeah, especially now, people are getting staggered now, so even if Mount Union comes back, it's going to be 3v5, and it looks pretty, things are pretty desperate for Mount Union at the current moment.
Almost an overextension from UB Sweatin', but is able to get out in time. A little bit more time for Manchester to come out. Panopticon only hits one in UB Sweatin', and fortunately not going to convert into anything. Beautiful, beautiful from Sigma.
Absolutely, and I like the attempt of the domino by Mount Union. It was a good try.
And it looks like it's about as good as done. That is a clean 3-0 for the Manchester squad. Can't say I'm too surprised after the first couple of maps we got to see, but regardless, I mean, both these teams putting up a good fight, and both still plenty of season left for these teams to be playing, so love to see what these guys pull out next, especially as people get more comfortable on these new heroes. Mainly seeing the Domina and Emre and a little bit of Jetpack Cat as well in this series. No appearances from Anran or Mizuki, which isn't too surprising. I don't think they've made waves in any crazy capacity so far, but great stuff to Manchester.
This is a huge win for Manchester. After losing to Valparaiso, they now come back and beat UMU and now still have a shot to make lands coming up.
Yeah, that is a big difference maker. And both of these teams, that's still on the table for. As previously discussed, Mount Union's record 3-1, now 3-2. Manchester going up 2-4, I believe. So both of these teams still very plausible to be one of those 8 teams that makes it to the GLEC LAN over in South Bend. And
absolutely,
we very well could see both teams make it, and maybe they even face off again.
I hope so. It'd be good to see what happens in the rematch.
Yeah, but regardless, shout out to these teams for putting on a show for us, and without any further ado, we'll see you guys in the next one.
We'll see you guys later.